So yeah, like Lee said, we're redesigning connections, and this is going to talk about why we're doing that, how we're doing that, and what that means in our relationship. We're trying to put the user back in UX, as I say. My name is Mike. I come from a consumer development background. I've designed applications for consumers, and so we're kind of applying some of that way of thinking to a business application. When he says user experience architect, what is that? That means the actual experience, right? We can design how we want, but how does the user actually use it? And what does that mean for us? At CHSI, at your companies, and then you as users, all of these three things have different goals, and there is an overlap. And where that overlap lies, that's what we call UX, the experience of it. So starting with CHSI, CHSI has goals. First off, we have a commitment to our partners, your companies, to generate more revenue. We want to operate with integrity, that's honesty. We want to retain our partners, keep users happy, that's service. And also we want to grow our company and add more partners, that's innovation. Your companies have goals. Gain more clients, more members, to scale or grow without a lot of excess overhead. Productivity, get everyone working together efficiently, and finally making sure that everyone's happy, taking care of their greatest asset, which is their people. As a user of connections, you also have your own goals. I enjoy my work. It's a big one. I can do what I want as quickly as possible. I can see the results I do and make a difference. And finally, I can pick up where I left off. And so with CHSI now embracing more of a UX perspective, UX sits right in the middle of all these things, and we make change not for the sake of change, but to better align the three goals. And that's why we're making any of the changes we need. UX is needed to bring together an experience that satisfies all parties, but it starts with the user. And so this is how we include the user inside of our redesign of connections. We start with observation. If you think back to that picture of the path and the person walking on it, how are people walking on the path? Then we design a prototype. Then we put that prototype in front of users. We observe them again. Finally, we integrate it into the application. And then we go right back to the top and we observe how users are using it again. And we just complete that cycle over and over throughout the application, and we see big changes. But the one thing that you'll notice with this pattern is the critical role of observation. And so that's what I want to spend the majority of this talk going through, is how do we observe our users, and what as users, what can you, when you get the phone call from me, what can you expect, you know? I want to make sure that two things. One, you feel comfortable on the phone when I call you and want to ask if I can observe. And two, also so it sheds some light on our internal process at CHSI and why we make design decisions. Like I said, it's to best align these three goals. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a video of an actual user observation that we did last week. And then I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to ask some questions. It'll be a little bit interactive. And my question to you will be the question that I would ask our team. What do you observe when the user experiences this prototype? We're going to be in the prototype phase. What do you observe when the user experiences this prototype for the first time? So let's just take, this will be a 2-minute clip, and then I'll pause it and we'll talk about it. How do you typically search when you want to find a company?
Just by the client name, because pretty much everything, I mean, I've been around forever, so everything to me is client name driven, or client number driven.
Oh,
what you guys call a company number.
Yeah.
So, and some of them actually will type in, you know, like, and then bring up a whole list of them like that. That's the fastest way for us to search.
Okay.
It brings up everything we could possibly want.
Cool. Okay, so here's the hypothetical situation the prototype I want to test with you. So you see how this advanced company search box has come up. I like how you typed in a couple letters, hit enter, and see this. What we've done is we've redone this to be a page. So if you go back to the home page, I'll show you where the prototype is.
Okay.
Just click companies on the left-hand side.
Oh. That's pretty slick. Because I see my vendors and everything there. So.
Okay. And then just type in big into the quick search.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Okay, and so the idea is our top search bar will still work. When you type the letters big, it'll just bring you to this page with the quick search already filled out with the letters big, right?
Okay.
How do you feel about this overall experience so far?
I think this is good. This is a nice improvement. And like I said, typically we use a lot of the client numbers, the client IDs. That's just how we get around a lot. But for any newer user or doesn't know those numbers, like doesn't know the numbers, there would be no reason for her to remember those numbers. So she would use this very heavily.
That's me.
I was wondering if you would. Okay. Okay.
She remembers.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of those numbers.
Right.
She goes, and just think that's weird.
No, sure. And I talk with some customers on the phone, and they say, Mike, I've been doing this for 37 years. I know this inside and out. I don't need this feature. I say, great. Do you hire employees? Do you have new people come on? Do you want to scale? Yes. Okay. Well, they're not going to memorize your 37 years. They're going to need to jump into this a little quicker. So what did you, anyone can raise a hand here. What do you observe when the user experiences that prototype page for the first time? Anyone, any observations? Yeah.
You know, I think when she saw that, she just kind of clicked right away and she goes, oh yeah, and I think it was less about how that site works, like, and it was more like how she worked, how the customer worked. Oh yeah,
cool.
That's exactly what I want to see. Without, and if you can make that seamless, what I have to explain, like we'll have to do this, you're less dictating to them how
Right.
to use it, and they're going, oh, that's just how
Intuitive is the word, yeah, and that I like that. When the user expectation matches what happens in the application, we've done a good job there. Anyone else have any observations? Yeah.
I think the important feature with improvements is that you maintain usability for people that have already been using the system for a long time. So I think that was like a big thing, being able to do what you did previously, but it takes you to this new and improved version.
Sure. So you can pick up on it even with past experience. We're not changing everything around so drastically. We're making it so that you can still, okay. I'll go through a couple of these observations that I have, and I was talking to Jesse and Caitlin about this. Normally when I call someone on the phone, I got pages and pages that I'm just scribbling down. And it's little things. Stuff like that they use the mouse to hover over the table results. They understood that if I hover over this thing, it'll bring me to this, it'll highlight the whole row. They understood what the pagination was at the lower right hand of the table. They clicked the table column header to toggle sorting. I saw her just mess around with that just to see. Now imagine if she had just messed around with that and it didn't provide her expectation. Maybe it took a long loading time to sort the whole thing, and then she had to wait for the progress bar. So we didn't provide that experience. We had gone through enough testing already to speed things up. She also understood simple stuff like the bold and blue text was clickable. What's clickable on this page? As a designer, I have to make sure that the user knows what's clickable. And so to see and observe the user, even doing the simplest things, just moving the mouse to something that's clickable and clicking it, I know that our team has done their job. She thought the reactivity was pretty cool. She felt it was a nice improvement. That's always a question I'll ask at the end of a prototyping phase. I think Kyle, I asked him this question, and I said, if this was implemented today, would you choose this or would you choose what you're used to? And I think we have a success when people say, we'll choose the new thing. I say, good. If it is a nice improvement, if it actually works and it does the right thing, great. But she also gave me some use cases. She expressed that she uses client numbers to get around frequently. Typing just the number into the search bar and going, number, press enter, number, press enter. That's good to know. So we know that that's how some of our users get around. And then again, for those new employees that don't have that stuff memorized, you can see the value in being able to search for something. So we have another part to this. This is actually like a 30-second clip, but there's a lot to observe here. The question I'm going to pose to you is, what do you observe when the user tries to execute tasks on the page for the first time? So when they try and execute tasks. I want to give you a task and see how easy or not the task is. Can you find? Can you search for any vendor? Any company with the type of vendor. And here's a question for you. When you did that search there, I can't really tell because I'm not right there. Did you press enter or did you click the search button?
If I pressed enter to start with and it didn't move, so then I went to the search.
Okay. If you click on any one of those names on the left-hand side, what do you expect to come up?
When I click on it, I would expect to see their homepage. So let's see what happens. That's what I would expect to see.
Okay. Any observations?
And like I said, this is something that I can see other members of our team.
All right. Any observations on when they tried to execute the task? I'll see if I can scroll it back to the thing. I think what was interesting to me is you heard me pause. I asked her if she could search for a vendor. And that's all I tried to do. But then I was going to actually say a little bit more, but she was ahead of me. She already knew that in connections, that meant a company with the type of vendor. So she had already started to get the select, drop it down to company, type, and vendor. So I thought that was pretty cool because she intuited that that's what I meant when I said search for a vendor. She also understood that that the equals operator. I tried to fast forward this. So I missed it. Just wait 1 second. So this operator. She just left. Yeah. So that operator to the right of that drop down there, that equal sign, she just left. In our programming, our development team, we had a conversation about this months ago. They said, wouldn't the equal sign mean like equals? Like I have to type it in exactly as it's supposed to be. And I said, from a design standpoint, if you just leave it as equals, people will understand that it actually functions in the programming world, we would say, as a contains. I believe that users would intuit that as a contains, not just as an equals. And in this instance, she did. I haven't run across a user yet that hasn't intuited that. I thought the other thing that was interesting is that she tried to press enter right after typing in the last field. And that just tells me that we have to go to our programmers and say, make that work, because that's what the user expected. Using the mouse again, showing the usefulness of the table row hover effect. And then again, meeting expectations. She expected that when she clicked on one of those blue names, it would take her, as she said, to the home page, what we call the company information page. So let's look at this last set, and this is just the last bit here. And now I've got to find the spot. If you click on any one of those names,
and like I said, this is something that I can see other members of our team using all the time. For me, the kind of work I'm doing, I know their numbers. So to me, it's not something I would use in case it was a weird thing where I had an address and I didn't know where it went. I don't know what it belonged to.
okay, why don't we try that real quick, and that'll be the last thing we do. Why don't you you have an address, and you can use an address or something that you're, maybe even just a city, something like that. Do you know how to search by the address now?
I think I do.
Okay.
Just simply because you gave me I'll pick Helena. Because, equal to Helena. Do I have to have the town, or can I do... That doesn't help.
So what I see you trying to search for is the street address. And that happens for you, right? Sometimes you get an address and you don't know who the company is.
Yeah. It won't be identifiable sometimes. I mean, it happens.
And what kind of situation would that come up?
Some piece of mail that came from somewhere. Like, I just put in Dillon, the name of the city, and there's all the people that belong to that city. So, for an address. That's an interesting function.
Yeah, that's because we're searching for the billing city right now. What we don't have for you, if you go to address, we don't have any street addresses in there. But you're telling me a use case where a street address might be valuable because you get a piece of mail and you don't know.
Or I'm told there's this, we need to go out and inspect a address, a location, and the address is unfamiliar. Is it in our database? Is this new? Something like that. Or if you're a linking claim, that would be very instrumental. Because sometimes they have an address of where something occurs. You go like, I have no idea where this is.
All right. So that's the end of that end of the video, the snippets there. What we don't have. What I'd like to ask is diving deep into this functionality. This is only a 10-minute phone call. You know, I try and keep them 10, 15, 20 minutes, no more. What does the user teach me in this phone call? Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
That they would benefit if they used an address.
Yeah, they would benefit if we had the address one. Yep, the street address. Yep. That was a big thing to learn. I couldn't imagine a scenario where they just get an address, a street address. I was given scenarios in testing prior to this where I want to find all of the places in this state, or I want to find all of the places in this city or zip code. I was given all that, and so we designed for that. But here, getting one-on-one with a user, they said, I might have a claim that has an address, and is this in our database? Is this just a location? What that also told me was that searching by billing, shipping, and mailing, when you have just the street address, how do you know whether that's the mailing address or the shipping address or our search that we provide to you should cover all those cases and tell you which it is. And so that was a big thing that I learned coming from this. Any other things? That obviously is the big one. Any other things that you observed during this? Yeah.
Well, it's not something I've observed in the system,
Uh-huh.
but I do know some counties have taxes due.
Mhm.
So if you can search by a city where maybe a client might be in or have a location in,
Mhm.
then you can track their payroll, their premium. Actually,
Sure.
is what the taxes would be based on, so it's handy for that too, rather than having to run a crystal report,
Right.
and dig through it that way.
So yeah, utilizing location search more with this kind of interface might be easier than a crystal report. And that's kind of what we're dealing with in the programming side of things. We're kind of like, well, now our search is becoming more of a reporting tool. Is it a reporting tool? Is it just a search? What is it? Well, we're finding that balance. We're striking that balance. And part of it is just going to be making phone calls to users and seeing. Did you have something you wanted to eliminate?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Like, I have a lot of clients that could potentially be along the highway.
Uh-huh.
Insured farms.
Okay.
And our loss control person who's driving along the highway, and he calls me and say, hey, what all the clients that you have on this highway? I quickly go to reports and I export all my active clients into Excel, and I do a search in Excel for the highway.
Wow.
But I feel like in the address one,
Right.
if you do a contains, and I can just type in Highway 165
Sure.
and then pull up address one for all.
No, it definitely will. Yeah. And I think that's another great use case. And that, see, I'm observing and I'm learning a lot just right now. I can't, you can't do too much of it, and you can't really stop yourself from doing it. It really shows that critical role of observation. Yeah, we hadn't anticipated this use case. The user illuminated that use case. But one thing I'll do is when I'm on the phone with you is I won't direct a lot. I'll kind of give you a general task and see how you do it. And I really liked that video because she tried to search for a city and said, well, can I just do this? And then and I didn't interrupt. I didn't say, no, you can't do that. That would make me bad at my job. I said, I'll listen and see. And then she tried a street address. And so, okay, I can see the use case. But I wasn't going to just accept that. I need to know why. Maybe there's some other way that we can handle this. So I really had to drill down and ask her, well, when is this situation? And so to understand that some claims might come in with just an address or all the places along a road or something like that. To understand those specific situations, that lets the developers know more. So when they're coding this, they know what purpose this serves. It's not just a blanket answer. But I also noticed something that she didn't mention. And this just comes from the power of observation, is that we didn't give a result back. Or sorry, when we returned the table result, we did not say what the previous query was. We just returned the table result. And that's kind of a bad thing, because if the user types in a typo and they get no results, they just think, oh, we don't have them in a database. Let me add another one. And then suddenly your database just grows and you have all these new things. So we have to, on our development team, we have to show what they queried in that thing. And it just struck me as she was searching, and then, when a user says, that's an interesting function, that really means that's not what I expected or what I wanted. That's an interesting function. That's totally useless. So that's what I learned. My goal is to get to know you guys. You can reach out to me anytime, email. I will reach out to you sporadically. Don't be nervous if months go by and I don't reach out. We have a lot of users of connections, and I like to get a diverse sample size. So I typically reach out to someone like once every couple months. Some of you have been contacted once by me. Some of you never contacted. Very few of you have been contacted twice by me so far, just because we have so many users. But I'm willing to take input from anybody at any time. Hopefully throughout this conference, we get to know each other a little bit more. And like I said, you can always reach out to me. If you have any concerns, I have a database. I'll just log it. And then the time comes that we get to that part in the development, I'll I'll be there and I'll address those concerns at that time. So, any questions for me about, we have like 5 minutes, about the process. Hopefully you understand why we're doing the things. Like I said, it's for these 3 goals. Everyone, your companies, CHSI, and users, how can we better align these goals? And it starts with the user, I think. So, any other questions? Cool. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.